Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Tackle and Tacos, a fishing podcast. This is episode number 13. We are coming to you from lovely, stormy Strum, Wisconsin. It is Monday, July 10th, 2023. Nate is broadcasting to you from Davenport, Iowa, from his home theater, studio, office extraordinaire.
Oh my gosh.
Nate,
Don't leave out the bedroom part.
Nate's bedroom with Coco, the barking dog, whose secret power is barking. Is that correct?
Yeah, she's fantastic at it. Absolutely,
sweet
phenomenal.
girl.
She is talented, as they say. She's something special. So today we're gonna do something totally kind of different, kind of unique. This is, again, just like last week, we did a specific episode on frog fishing, and that was something we thought about from the get-go of this whole podcast, and this is another one. So today, we wanted to speak about things that we know really well, and I would say this topic, I know I think Lola's getting there slowly but surely. I know Nate is an expert.
Expert.
I think we are high-level experts. Today is how to lose a bass tournament.
I'm sorry I said expert like that for you.
How good are we at this?
100% true.
How good are we at losing bass tournaments? I feel like if somebody looked at our record, they'd say they're very good at eating tacos and they're very good at being not number one in bass tournaments. Is this correct? Is this accurate? As Matt Pangrack would say, accurate assessment?
Accurate assessment to the fullest. Absolutely.
Yeah, to the fullest. So I feel like that's relatable. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna keep it real today. So what did we, before we get into that, let's do like let's kind of deviate from the norm. Let's talk life, man. Like, not just fishing, not just tacos, not just tackle. What did we do this last weekend? Today is Monday. I think most people who listen to this podcast, and again, so much thank you to anybody. So much thank you. So much thank you.
Stop it.
I don't know what just happened. So much thank you. There's a thank
much
here.
Thanks
there's a
to
thank
so much.
there. There's so much thank everywhere.
Everywhere.
I don't even drink, but it sounded
It
like
sounded
I had
pretty
a
drinky.
couple in me there. But so much gratitude goes from all three of us to anybody who listens to our podcast. We pay pretty close attention to the numbers, the metrics behind the scenes. Not that it really matters, but just to kind of see where we're at and see how we're doing. And to know that so many people have tuned in and listened, so many more than I thought would at this point in our podcast, just a few months in, is so humbling, man.
Definitely.
It's exciting. It's humbling. We love it. But if you didn't know this already, Lola and I live in Wisconsin. Nate lives in Iowa. We talk all the time via text and phone call and whatever to kind of touch base. And so, Nate, what did you do this weekend? We know you had a tournament. How did things go down?
Well, they didn't go well, actually.
Shoot.
So it was more of like, so you can really be an expert on this topic.
Absolutely. I'm getting very, very good at talking about how to show up and donate, as they say.
Yeah, give that club your money.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, give those winners. And honestly, this tournament, I was glad to give my money to the winners. The guys that won the tournament are awesome dudes.
Oh, I love that.
Father-son combo.
Oh, dope.
And they won the stinking tournament with 4 fish.
No.
Oh my
4
gosh.
fish.
What was the weight?
Yeah. Just under 14 pounds.
Okay, that's respectable,
yeah.
dude.
With 4
With
fish,
4?
yeah. So,
that's really good.
Yeah, so it was awesome.
Yeah, that's dope.
But
were they green fish, brown fish? What was it?
All greens, yeah.
Okay.
All green.
Yeah. So tell us about the tournament. Where was it? Were you well versed in the area? Did you pre-fish it? Did you have a pattern? Did you have a plan? What happened?
Yeah, so the tournament came out of Bellevue, Iowa, which is on the far north side of Pool 13, and by
huge
far north
urban area, gangs everywhere.
Oh my.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the hood of Bellevue. But yeah, so, and by far north side, I literally mean like the ramp we used was at the dam, like, so it's right there.
Wow.
So,
Yeah, that is up there.
Yeah, I mean, I could have spit on the dam and locked up to 12 if I wanted to, because it's literally that close. But
when you're fishing these derbies, I wonder if people wonder this, and I think it's probably per bass club, but do they set limits on if you can lock up or lock down?
Yeah, typically it's one lock either direction.
Yeah.
Yep. So typically it's one lock either direction. And actually, one of the other local clubs that I fish, they eliminated locking.
Oh wow!
Unless it's an
open. So if you're on 13,
no
you're on 13.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay.
No locking at all. Unless it's an open, which they only have, I think, one a year or something like that. But yeah. So anyways, top side of pool 13. And that overall pool I have quite good familiarity with, but honestly, it's on the south end of the pool, which would have been roughly 30-ish miles south of where we launched. So,
and it's kind of a long run, 30 miles. Like, it's not a straight shot.
Yeah, it's a real windy.
Around.
Yeah, it's a real windy 30 miles. Yeah. So definitely a run that I could have made. And
did anybody?
I been fishing? I don't know. I didn't hear of anybody that ran to that south end of the pool.
Okay.
I believe most people ran to the kind of the midsection. I know a lot of people kind of stayed up towards Bellevue. At the dam, there's a backwater there, and then some good current areas where you can catch some smallies, and then, like I said, there's a little backwater section where you can get into some decent largemouth. But I hadn't had very much luck in that area, so I ran to that midsection of the pool where I do have a lot of history, and honestly that probably could have bit me in the butt.
Fishing past history thing.
Exactly. Yeah. So, but yeah, had I been solo, I might have ran to that lower section. I fish with my father-in-law, and he's not really much for running 70 miles an hour for 30 straight miles. So,
and was your father-in-law throwing a tube?
He flipped a tube. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So he is he's the guy that got me into tournament fishing. So right. I absolutely love him for that.
That's great.
But he's super old school. Like, and by old school, I mean like the line that he used 2 years ago.
It's not like Dacron, is it?
No, it's Trilene XT.
Oh, daddy. He's flipping with Trilene?
Yeah. So it's,
oh my gosh.
It's 17 pound Trilene XT or XS for everything, because he bought like 2 spools, one of each, probably 10 years ago, and that's what he's respooled with twice in the last 4 years. So
I always thought that there should be like a thicker Trilene, like 17 and 20 or whatever, that they call like LM for line memory. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like we have tighter spooled circles when you cast than any other monofilament out there.
Yeah, no doubt.
No diss on Trilene necessarily specifically, but goodness gracious, if you're using old, thick mono, dude, it's like throwing out there with a slinky.
Yeah, for sure. So that's what he's used, and he flipped the tube that he tied on during our, I don't know, first tournament last year. Probably the same tube, same hook, same sinker. If he doesn't break off, he doesn't retie.
Oh, there's some nicks in my line. Well, it's still there, so we're just going to keep on flipping.
That would be me. Yeah. Too much work. I'm just going to keep going.
I could cut it off, and then, but meh. Let's get back in.
Same chatterbait that he's been throwing for the last 2 seasons. And honestly, I think he did tie on a buzz toad during the tournament. So that was the third bait that he used, I guess, or tried all day. So, but yeah, it was, like I said, ran down to the midsection and did some fishing in some areas where, so we've had some past history, and I caught one right away in the morning, like a 13-inch smallie on a popper, which was pretty cool because he absolutely smoked it.
Of course he did.
Yeah, but then I didn't have another bite for the next, like, I don't know, 2-ish hours.
That's not as fun.
No way.
Yeah, it was really, really rough. And then ran to another section kind of upriver from where we started, and got on a spot. That's a main river point kind of hump, and it's got some offshore structure on it. And I just started like slinging a little drop shot around there because I've caught them doing that in the past there. And I bet I caught 10 fish there in the half an hour or so we sat there, but they were all
shorts,
10 to 12 inch,
little
largemouth and smallmouth mixed together.
Whoa.
Yeah. So that was pretty cool. Caught a bunch of fish, but again, no good ones. Decided to make another run downriver a little ways. Jordan knows the area pretty well. It's, just down from where you caught those giant walleye that tournament.
Oh yeah, that was incredible.
Yeah. So just down from there, there's kind of where the boat docks start. I was fishing behind one of those and got a couple bites, throwing a wacky worm, and then probably the third time I got a bite, it absolutely just like almost ripped the rod out of my hand, and it was the one fish that the one keeper ended up with all day was like just over 2.5 pounds. I think it was like 268 or 258, something like that. But good solid fish. Would have been nice. It probably caught it around, at this point it was probably 10:30ish or so. I'd say maybe 11. But after that, just a few more small ones throughout the day, and that was it. I mean, it just completely fizzled off after about 11:30.
And you had a shortened tournament day anyway, right?
Yep.
Because of the high temperatures, like y'all were off the water at 2 instead of 3.
Yeah, typical tournaments run from safe light to 3. This one was safe light to 2 because we were getting in that upper 80s to 90 degree temperature for the air temp, and I think water temp was right around. I think when I got off the water, it was like 78 or 79. Wow. So it's getting warm for sure. But so overall caught quite a few fish, but I mean all the same exact size. They were all 10 to 12 inches, other than the one keeper that I had, and I don't even think I had another keeper bite. I had one other fish jump off kind of midday, but it was one of those borderline sizes, so I really don't know if it would have helped out at all. But that was it. Made the run back upriver, fishing some riprap banks and some rock jetties and some wing dams, just trying to maybe get a roaming smallie or something that was looking to eat, but never got it. I think I caught one small largemouth kind of on all those different spots, and probably hit 5 or 6 of them different spots on the river on the way up, and really was really rough. But got back to the ramp and kind of got the boat cleaned up, and we're talking to a couple of the guys, and one of the guys said he had 4 fish, but he had 2 really good ones, and I'm like, oh, nice. What are you thinking you got? He's like, oh, I'm not really sure, but I know 2 of them are over 4 pounds. Oh man, that's nice. So talked to him a little bit, and it was actually the guys that ended up winning the tournament with 4 fish. Yeah,
that's awesome. That's really dope, dude.
Yep, and it was fun. So, and I actually started the weekend off I went fun fishing on a different pool with a buddy who had never, not real familiar with the river, and he just bought a boat. So I kind of wanted to show him around the area that he lives. We did a little bit of that, and on the way out of the creek that we were in, I hit a stump with the trolling motor, and I mean just smoked it. and sheared the T-bar that locks the trolling motor down.
Oh gosh!
The day before this tournament, so I broke that in half, and I'm like, oh great, just another trip out with this Ultrex, and another break.
So many problems with his Ultrex this year. Good God!
Yeah, it's been so rough this year, but I called the local shop, and they actually had a new T-bar in stock. Ran down, picked it up. It was literally the easiest fix in the world.
Good.
And the new part was stainless steel, so I don't have to worry about it breaking again. Yeah,
snap off like that. Jeepers creepers, dude.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you were safe, though. I mean, not to sound like cheesy PSA, but every day on the water, you can learn from, you can grow from, even the not good ones. And as long as you're safe and whatever, like things could be worse.
Yeah, no, it was a great day. It was a fun day fishing. It's only the second tournament I fished with my father-in-law this year, so we haven't fished much together. But I think overall he had a good time and was able to catch a few fish, but not a ton. But we had a really foggy morning to start. Like the run downriver was probably 16 to 17-ish miles downriver is what we ran, and it was like pretty dense fog almost the whole way. So we were keeping her pretty dialed back, which he enjoyed. So
him and Lola both. All right,
Yes.
Lola, what did we do this weekend? How did our weekend go down?
Well, we went camping.
Yay!
Woo!
Yeah, gosh, I love camping.
We went with all 6 of our children, and
Yay! Which sounds fun and but is also not.
it's just a lot of work, but it's so.
Imagine.
It was so fun, and we
Totally
tent
worth
camped, and because that's what we don't have a camper. But let me just say, I really want a camper.
Yeah.
I know, and we've never been camper people or whatever, but like there's something about it that just makes it better.
It definitely makes it
easier maybe. I don't know.
And that's I think that's probably the biggest thing. So I grew up camping my entire life, on a campsite like forever. And my wife kind of did the same thing a little bit, not near to the level that I did, but now she wants to camp more, but it has to be in a camper. And I talk to people all the time that have campers, and they say the greatest part about it is like you get the camper, then you prepare the camper with the laundry, sheets, blankets, whatever, the dishes, everything. All you need to do is go get the food, put it in the camper, hook the camper up, and go camping.
And that's because
we're still unloading right now.
Honest, actually, we got home yesterday, and with 6 kids, they all have their special blankets, and they each need to bring a pillow and a stuffed animal. And then, Gus is in a pack and play still,
a 1-year-old,
and so we bring the pack and play and put that in a tent. So we end up having 2 tents. So the older 5 share a tent, and they all have air mattresses and their special stuff. And then I don't know, it's just, I want to have like a pillow bin. These are our camping pillows, a blanket bin. Like you can still bring your special blanket, but I don't know. I think a camper would make things a lot easier. I don't mind sleeping in a tent. Like that doesn't bother me.
Sleeping in a tent, I sleep better than anywhere on planet Earth. Especially in like cool nighttime temperatures. Especially if you're camping somewhere that's actual camping, like if it's like wildernessy and there's no lights and the campsites are far apart and oh my goodness.
Because what we did this weekend was more of like, do you say gimmicky? I don't know the right word. It was more aimed for our kids, which was it's Stony Creek in Osseo. Shout out.
Yeah,
and they have a pool. They have a lake that has like a blow up blob thing, mountain jump off thing. They have a fishing pond. They have a volleyball court, basketball court, skate park. They have an ice cream shop. It's really fun. And
it's very like specific for families, for kids. So they do like they have what's that thing back in the day, that show where you could like get picked up in a cab and then they'd ask you random trivia questions.
They do that on golf carts.
They do that in golf carts. And then they have like trivia nights, and they have like Christmas in July.
Yeah, and themed weeks and stuff. It's just it was really fun.
It's literally the opposite of everything I want a camping experience to be, but my dad heart of me like super supersedes all that other stuff. And knowing that all 6 of my children are super pumped on all this crap that has nothing to do with camping.
But we're outside.
Also they have a restaurant where you can order pizza and they'll deliver it to your campsite, which we did. And it was so stupid and it was really good. It was dope. It was
and I'm
so
like, I cut up some peppers and cucumbers, guys. Eat that up too.
Yeah. I'm like, hey, you guys want to cook some hot dogs over the fire? And they're like, we want pepperoni and cheese.
Actually, all of them wanted to cook hot dogs over the fire. But in a couple weeks, we're going to be going camping to a way rustic, but we'll bring bikes and there's a playground and we're right on the water. And so we'll have fishing rods and we'll bring the boat. So that'll be different, but really fun.
Camp. On our social media for Tackling Tacos, I posted something like, camping with your family, much like positivity, is worth the effort, because it's not super natural to like have it just go really easy. Like you'll see photos of people on social media with their kids camping. It's like, oh, that's so cute. But there's also like, it's difficult because you have from sun up until sundown space to like, what do we do now? And I could just be out there looking at the fire for a vast majority of that time,
Honestly.
and then swinging in a hammock, and then going fishing, or just walking around the woods and being like, oh, look at that, it's an elderberry. Oh,
but our kids
or
were
whatever.
like,
But the kids want to do
they need
stuff.
like, what can we do? But I really think like, oh, we can swim. They all love to bike and explore nature and stuff. So I don't know. They could build a fort. I don't know. I think it'll be really fun.
No, it'll be good for sure. But yeah, it was dope.
And just being outside together as a family is just like my most favorite thing.
Yeah, and I love seeing Gus, who is our 1-year-old. That dude loves being outside.
Like cries when you bring him in.
Like he does not want to be inside ever, whether it's like getting splashing around the water or like grabbing toads or like picking up sticks,
sitting in mud.
He loves to be outside, and I love that.
Yeah,
I super like. I whatever I do as a dad, like it's so vital to me to not quell that love of his, to not like put that out, even though it's like not always super convenient.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying, but like it's just a big deal to not wreck that. I'm actually just about done with a book that I've been reading called Outdoor Kids in an Inside World by Stephen Ranella from Meat Eater. And it's a really practical book for any parents out there who want kind of strategy on getting your kids. He doesn't like vilify or demonize screens, but getting your kids away from screens and whatever to go outside and do stuff. Like one really practical thing he said, like if you go for like a hike with your kids don't give a rip about hiking from point A to point B. But if you get them outside and say, hey, let's have a contest to who can find the most morel mushrooms, or who can flip over a log and see what's underneath
do a scavenger
it, or
hunt.
do a scavenger hunt, or what does that cloud look like? Give them little, like intellectual pit stops along the way. You can engage them a little better.
Yeah,
and that's what
definitely.
we're trying to do. That's what we're trying to do as a family as well, is like get our kids outside and like bite-sized servings that are really engaging still, because you don't want it to be like, hey, remember that time we went camping and we all hated it for the whole 3 days or whatever?
Right.
And so,
yeah, for sure.
Anybody anywhere near the Midwest, I highly recommend Stony Creek Campground in Osseo. It's mostly an RV park, but they also have campsites. It's just
and there are lots of trees.
It's not
like a concrete pad where you park your RV. Like it still feels naturey, and everyone's friendly, and I don't know. It's fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's what we did this weekend.
Yep.
Also, a reminder about leaving a rating for us on Spotify, 5 stars, if you will.
5 stars.
I mean, if you think we're worth that. And then a written review on Apple Podcasts, and we're having a contest, I guess.
Yeah, a written review with 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. Like if you do 4 stars, like we appreciate it. That's still positive. But the 5-star ratings are what really gets us like plugged into Apple Podcast algorithm and gets us like suggested to other people listening to other podcasts. So like it really is. It's not just for our ego. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like it really assists us at Tackling Tacos as a new show, helps us grow.
Yeah. And so we're having a contest, or however you want to call it. Yeah. We'll pick a winner or 2.
Yeah, one from Spotify, one from Apple.
Yeah, to get some of our new merch, a shirt and a hat.
Totally for free. Like
totally
we'll pay
for
shipping,
free.
Like one of each, not like one gets a shirt, one gets a hat, but like each gets a shirt and a hat shipped to your door for free just for writing a positive review.
Yep.
Yeah. Dope. All right, let's get after it.
How simple is that? Come on.
How simple is that? And
we appreciate it.
Yes, we do.
It's like a 2 birds, 1 stone. Like it really, really helps us out. We'll give you a shirt and a hat, and go write us a positive review. Appreciate you. And a bunch of people have. So the people that have, thank you.
Thank you so much.
What did I say? So much thank.
So much thank.
So much thank to those write review. That's like that episode of The Office where Kevin was trying to like abbreviate all of his speech, and people were like, no, but now you have to stop and like explain what you're saying. He's like, why use many word when few word work?
Oh my God.
Something like that. Yeah, I don't know how to talk. So, all right, here's what we're going to do. Tonight, we're talking again, something that we are absolute experts on. How to lose a bass tournament.
Rude.
How do you lose a bass tournament? We're going to give you 7 ways in reverse order. So if you're driving, just take your eyes off the road for a second and write these down, because if you want to get good at losing tournaments, this is how you do it. Okay, right. Let's be let's be honest, Lola. Let's be honest, Nate.
What?
This is gimmicky as crap. This is really like an episode to help you figure out how to win tournaments.
Right.
But just
Just gotta
flipping it
flip
to
what
try
we're saying.
to be a little unique. So it goes without saying, but take the things we're about to say and turn them around. And I really do think it'll help you win tournaments. This is sort of an amalgam of things I've learned, things Lola has learned, things Nate has learned, mixed with Bass University talks by like Gerald Swindle, Ish Monroe, Brandon Polinick, Mike Iconelli, dudes who know how to win tournaments, local dudes that I know who are absolute sticks, like hammers who are consistent. How do you win a bass tournament? Well, here's how to not win it, all right? Lola, give us, these are in order, 7 ways in reverse order, and there could be a lot more. There could be many, many more than just 7, but these are the 7 we're going to focus on because, again, these are things that we're kind of pulling from different levels of inspiration, but that mean the most to us. So number 7, how to lose a bass tournament.
Well, you don't want to worry about maintenance, whether that's your boat, trailer, lures, rods and reels, you know, all that stuff. Just don't worry about
Yeah,
it.
don't change your line.
Nope.
Don't retie.
Nope.
Don't check your bearings on your trip. Don't do any
ever
of it.
do that.
None of it.
Yeah.
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 So not too terribly long ago, my friend Jeremy and I, this is 2 weeks in a row. No, it was a couple weeks ago. We gave him a shout out.
Yeah. Bwah, bwah, bwah.
Jeremy Muldrum. He and I think really similarly as it relates to tournament fishing. Like we both really like fishing tournaments, but we also want balance with it where we're not so obsessed and like, you know, we want to enjoy it. But he fished a tournament with me on Nelson Lake, which is up near Hayward, Wisconsin. And that was the tournament that when I pre-fished it, my entire wheel flew off of my trailer, like sheared the bolts off of the hub on the trailer and it rolled off on me. So I took
crazy.
and I never even felt it. That's the craziest thing about it. So I took a right turn, and I'm looking in my mirror at the boat as she's coming around the bend, and it sands one entire wheel. So if you really want to suck at bass tournaments, don't do any maintenance. And then if your trailer breaks down, you can't make it to the lake anyway.
Yeah. Or if you notice that it flew off or it's not there, just keep going.
Just keep it moving, dude.
Yeah. Just don't worry.
Yeah. Again, I think we talked about this already, but this was a Gerald Swindle thing. He said after every tournament, and I believe him. I believe he is a very, like, you know what I'm saying, dedicated, like, regimented is probably the right word, type of human.
That's probably the perfect word for it.
Yeah.
Scheduled, yeah.
He's that dude who's like super funny. And like when we were talking to Polinick about Gerald Swindle on the podcast, and I was like, is he like that super funny Southern guy all the time? And he said all the time, like doesn't matter when. Mm-hmm. But I also think he's that dude that is like one of those guys who almost acts silly, but like he's smart as crap too. Mm-hmm. You know, like just really sharp. Wouldn't you say so, Nate? Don't you get that vibe from G-Man?
Yeah, 100%. He's definitely a guy that comes off as you know, I guess kind of playful or wholesome or whatever. Yeah. But you know, when it's crunch time, like he buckles down and he, you know, stays 100% focused and definitely stays up on the things he's doing, like maintenance and stuff like that. You know,
yeah.
You can just hear it. You hear it when he talks. It's definitely, you know, something he believes in. So
yeah, he said that after every tournament, he goes home and touches every bolt and every screw on his boat and trailer. Everything gets lubed, everything gets addressed, everything gets inspected, every bolt on every part of from his trolling motor to his transom gets tightened, and he doesn't have breakdowns because
I think that's great. I mean,
so
I say
smart.
This to you so often, like, okay, wait, this is our stuff. Let's take care of our stuff.
Yeah.
And that's not just your boat and whatever,
No,
but like,
I mean, but that even relates to, like, let's say you want to lose a bass tournament. Don't worry about maintenance. Don't worry about organizing your tackle. You know, like go buy you a whole bunch of dope new jigs. Let's say like, what's the name of that company that Pat Schlopper fishes for? Curigi or Curigi or whatever. It's like Kureiji.
Yeah.
You know, you see that he caught like a double-digit bass on a jig, and then you're like, oh, I'm going to get me some. And so you head to wherever, buy you some, put them in a bag, and then you forget where you put them. Well, that doesn't do you any good if you weren't like regimented enough to actually put them into a spot on your boat where you can find them. So then the tournament comes and you're like, oh, I'm going to use that new whatever jig, and then you can't find it. You know, like maintenance is like the least sexy thing and so important and so necessary if you want to do well. Don't you think, Nate?
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So it's funny. So I fished Saturday, had that little hiccup with the trolling motor. And I'm working on that along with like prepping rods and reels and retying, getting everything situated because I knew I was going into this tournament without any practice on that pool or that area. So while I'm doing all that, I look over at my console of my boat, which it doesn't, probably get the maintenance it deserves, but I look over and 3 screws are like backed all the way out.
Oh my gosh.
That like hold the console that the graph is mounted to. So I've got a 16-inch Lowrance graph, mounted at my console. Probably has 7 or 8 screws all the way around it, but 3 that were like right in the front are like all backed out. So I'm like, oh man, glad I'm sitting here doing this and can grab the screwdriver out of my center console, tighten all this stuff back down. So
yeah, so
got it all cinched down and got it good. But it's just stuff like that. Like if I were in that routine that Swindle was in, where I'm kind of once overing everything post tournament, I never would have really ran into that situation.
Right. And how awful would it be if you really actually didn't care about maintenance and then you're driving down the water and it flings off or breaks off that's a great way to not win a tournament. All right. Number 6. Number 6, that was number 7. Number 6 is one that I am guilty of sometimes. This is a good way to lose a tournament, is have good electronics, but don't be good with them. Don't know anything about how to properly use the electronics. Just put it in like auto mode. You know what I'm saying? Like a few weeks ago when we were talking to Kyle Vandiver, who is an awesome photographer and videographer, and we were talking like, dude, you can't have your camera in auto mode. You got to know the ins and outs and the manual settings and the ways to tweak it and to know what you're looking at to really get the most out of it. A couple weeks ago at a derby locally, this father-son team who had this like, and I'm not saying they're stupid, please, I'm not pointing fingers at all. But they had this filthy, like brand spanking new Phoenix. It was like dark gray with like black pinstripes, the new Merc 250 4-stroke with like the black decals, black power pole, or no, I think they were black Raptors. All Lowrance, everything, like 2 big units at the console, 2 big Lowrance units up front, Lowrance Ghost. They had the Lowrance active target, and I heard the kid like asking a bunch of people like, hey, my active target's like cutting off like halfway down the screen. Like it just goes blank. And I don't know if I was just feeling insecure or whatever, but like I knew what it was that his little transducer on the shaft of the trolling motor, it needed to click 1 click up because he had it facing too far down. So it was just shooting, the beam was just shooting straight into the bottom. So the reason it was cutting off is it wasn't seeing everything. So I was going to say like, just click it up one, dude, like point it back up towards yourself. And then a dude from another boat was like, oh, you just need to adjust your transducer before I could say anything. And that fixed it. So like not a diss to them, but you can have the dopest electronics on earth, but if you don't know how to use it, like it doesn't really matter.
Right.
Yeah, definitely makes things difficult if you have the equipment and don't know how to use it. A lot of times, you may be even better off not having the equipment and just knowing the area or knowing the river or knowing the lake you're fishing. That can be more useful than having all that fancy equipment and just letting it sit on your boat.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, what was that dude's name? Was it Louis Minetti or whatever, the dude from the Classic? He had live scope installed on his boat like just right before the Classic, and he was like not really, I don't think he's dumb or anything, but he just wasn't really getting it, and he didn't have time to really like take it and learn it and whatever. So he had like a friend come over and take the entire thing off his boat, like take the live scope off, take the fish finder off, take the whole thing off. Cause he was like, I don't need to be distracted by something that I don't really get while I'm fishing in the biggest tournament of my life.
I think that's good. That's
respectable, right?
So smart. Yeah.
I think that's awesome.
So smart.
Cause also the other thing is,
go ahead. If anybody doesn't, I was just going to say, if anybody doesn't know that kid's story, and they're into bass fishing, they should just kind of even just Google Louis Minetti. I'm pretty sure that is his name. But he qualified for the classic out of like a 1995 boat with like an old trolling motor and next to no electronics.
Yeah,
and it just goes to show you don't really need that stuff if you if you have your game dialed in. Like it's so awesome.
Yeah. What I was going to say too, and I think what you just said ties into it perfectly, Nate, is so easily we can let fishing and boating or whatever, please pardon my French here, I'm not a cusser, but we can let it turn into an absolute dong measuring contest so quick. Like I got 2 units on the console, and I got 3 units up front, and I got a 300 Mercury racing motor, and I got blah blah blah, and I got brand new Raptors, and I finished dead last in every tournament. Like the equipment doesn't really make you. Like instincts and familiarity and comfort, and like you said, knowing the electronics you do have. That's really what it's more about. It's not about going out there and flexing on everybody. I'm trying to think really, like most of the tournaments I fish, it's not always the dudes like the last Chippewa Valley Bass Attack tournament, which is that club is just a club full of hammers. The dudes who won it were fishing out of a pretty old Triton with a pretty old Yamaha. They had decent electronics on the boat that they knew and operated well, but yeah, it's less about the equipment and more about the angler.
Yeah, I never ever. I know I'm like newbie, whatever, but I don't ever look at the stuff. And I know it's on our boat and it's so expensive, but I never use it. I don't know. Sorry.
No, I love that. And sometimes that's what it takes. Sometimes it just takes like stop.
And I do catch fish.
You catch a lot of fish.
So I'm just saying.
Yeah, sometimes it just takes like just put your head down and just go down the bank and crank and fish hard and cover water and yeah. All right.
Yeah, just fish.
Number 5. How to lose a bass tournament. Lola, break us off with number 5.
Well,
and say it in a dramatic way because this is a really good one.
Say it dramatically.
Yeah, like really make it like
I have to do that voice?
Yeah.
Forget about map study and be arrogant. I'm so embarrassed. I'm just kidding.
I could barely even understand you. It was so raspy and manly.
Should I try again?
Yeah, do it again. If anybody's ever seen Parks and Rec, there's one episode where they're trying to do like a bash political ad against this guy. And what's his name?
Oh, I can't think of it. Okay, I don't know his name.
Bobby Newport.
Yeah,
That's
nice.
Bobby Newport's never had a real job in his life.
That was good.
Thank you.
Do you want to read this?
No, I want you to do it like that.
It sounded a lot like that.
Thank you.
That AFCO commercial.
Yeah,
very good.
Yeah. Number 5 for how to lose a bass tournament.
Forget. I can't do it. I can't do it.
Do it.
Forget.
You've got to forget something, apparently.
I'm sweating. Forget about map study and be arrogant.
There, that was pretty good. Shout out your voice. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So I'll say this. I think if you really want to lose a bass tournament, I don't think you have to have a great practice or even practice at all. I don't think you do. Every tournament I've ever won, and I haven't won a ton, but half dozen, something a little more than that, has been on days where either I didn't get to practice at all or my practice didn't go great. But one thing you cannot do if you want to win a bass tournament, you cannot bypass map study. You can't do it. You can't do it. You have to really look at maps, whether that's on your actual boat, who was I talking to about that? About somebody in a tournament about sitting in your boat while you're doing tackle prep and looking over like the lake you're going to, that's just a pretty normal deal. Look up on there's apps like Fishity, there's apps like Navionics, there's all kinds of things you can look at, even just Google Maps or Apple Maps, where you can look and see points, you can see contour lines. If you want to lose a bass tournament, just totally bypass map study. Just forget it.
Okay.
Yeah, 100%. So in this last tournament that I fished, I knew, obviously didn't pan out, but I knew a good portion of the day I would spend on that upper end of the pool that I didn't have much history on. So I actually did that a lot. I studied the map on my Google Earth, just the map on my phone, and then coordinated that with the reveal map that I have, the C-Maps chip that I have in my Lowrance unit.
C-Maps are so good.
Oh man, the detail on that thing is absolutely amazing, and what I really love is like the accuracy of it. Like it's right there. So I mean, I knew it. Obviously, this tournament didn't pan out, but there's a lot of times where I could have pulled up on a few of those points, those main river points, or a few of those wing dams that I fished and stuff like that, where they could have had fish stacked all over them, and I only found those because I studied the map and I looked at the contour lines and the shoreline change and stuff like that. So.
Yeah.
Didn't work this time, but next time it very well could,
That's exactly right. And I think especially as it relates to safely navigating waters, like even if it's just a map until you get there and then you go, oh, this is the shoreline I was looking at on the map. Oh, this is the point I was looking at on the map. That Balsam Lake tournament, I finished middle of the pack, didn't do incredible, but I put 5 fish in the boat, or 5 fish in the well. I weighed in 5 fish, and almost all of them came from a spot that I'd never seen because I didn't get to pre-fish it, but that I saw on map study that I thought this looks good, and I bet most people aren't going to go to it. And right away I started catching fish. I'm not an expert. I'm not a genius. But if you don't study maps, I feel like you're just sort of being either lazy or arrogant or like an icky combo of the two. And that's a great way to lose a tournament. It's a great way to lose a tournament. Yeah. Just go in blind, All right. Number 4 and number 3 kind of play off each other. All right. So we'll do them together. Yes. Number 4 and number 3, ways to lose a bass tournament. Number 4, fish to your weaknesses because you want to be a more versatile fisherman. Let me say that again.
Versatile or versatile? How do you say it, Nate?
Well, when I was writing it down, I said versatile.
Thank you.
But I do not say it that way when I'm talking about being versatile.
Yeah, it's really more versatile. Versatile. All right.
Versatile.
Yep. Okay, sorry.
So anybody out there knows what I'm talking about. Anybody who's fished tournaments knows what I'm talking about. I always fish square bills, and I always fish jigs, and I always throw a chatterbait. Today I'm really going to work on throwing a 12-inch mag draft and drop shotting. Like, that's not necessarily bad, but like, don't skip what you're good at in the name of trying to be more versatile. That doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. That's stupid. Number 3, only fish your strengths because they're comfy. So there's like a really dope middle ground balance there to be found if you can figure out how to do that dance. Ish Monroe, who has got to be, in my opinion, I don't know how good Ish Monroe is. I mean, he's got to be top 20, maybe smaller number on planet Earth for professional fishermen. He is so good.
He's really, really good.
And I feel like he's just a dude who goes into tournaments and just does well. And I don't know, like people say that like Greg Hackney and Jason Christie are intimidating and whatever, but I feel like Ish Monroe is just one of those dudes who's very naturally good at fishing. And I feel like if I saw him at a derby, I'd be more intimidated. I don't know. Anyway, he's just a really, really good angler. He said in a Bass University seminar, shout out Bass University. If you if you don't have Bass University, you should really consider it. Pretty much everything you can imagine or need to learn about fishing, they have seminars on there from like just the best fishermen out there, and it's not terribly expensive. And I don't watch it that much, but sometimes, not sometimes, pretty much every time that I do, I feel like I learn. I feel like I learned something from it. But he was saying on this how to win a tournament seminar, when he goes to fish a lake, like especially like out west where he's from, as long as it's not like a Great Lakes tournament, he doesn't even bring a spinning rod in the boat. Doesn't even put one in the boat. And you might be like, oh, that's dumb. But he knows what he's good at. And so he has some variation there, but he's not going to waste his time being like, I got to diversify today, when that might not be the juice anyway. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then at the same time, though, like I do this a lot. Nate knows I do this. I like certain ways of fishing. I love buzzbait fishing. I love frog fishing. I love throwing a square bill. whatever. I love skipping a swim jig under docks, blah, 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 blah. And so sometimes I'll start to try to basically like force feed them, you know? Like I'll try to be like, they're going to eat the freaking buzzbait. No, they're not. Yes, they are. And I just keep on throwing the buzzbait. And it's like, dude, it ain't working. You know, so you got to find that line of like fishing to your strengths, but not being so wrapped up in them that you won't look to throw a drop shot when maybe that's the juice. Nate, agreed?
Yeah, that's 100% correct. I mean, you know, fishing your strength is definitely, you know, the way to go, the way to start. You know, you're going to be comfortable in what you're doing, which is going to make you fish a little bit maybe more free, but then to also have the knowledge to know, hey, if this is not working, what's another presentation I can maybe put in front of them that either they haven't seen, or it may present the same bait I'm throwing, but just in a different fashion, you know? So
that's perfectly put.
It really was.
Yeah.
Cause like, okay. So, myself and a buddy were talking about, chatterbait fishing the other day. Maybe I shouldn't give the juice on this one, but like I said, from the get go on the show, we're not going to hold stuff back. One really great way to fish a chatterbait that nobody does is to flip it like a jig. It works so well. So like I will often, I will throw and I can skip a chatterbait pretty well. Again,
I said very nice to watch.
That noise when it goes way under a dock. Again, if you're throwing a chatterbait, I almost always throw a 3/8 ounce chatterbait unless I know I'm going to skip it. Then half just skips way, way better. And if you throw something like a Rage Menace on the back, or like a Giltech swim bait, because Giltech swim bait is flatter, just something like that, it'll skip so well under stuff. Anywho, so when you're doing that, you can like flip, let's say, or you can skip it under a dock or throw it next to a lay down or whatever. And if you don't get a bite, slow down, put your talons or your poles, your raptors down, and then use it like a jig. Like throw it out there and just flip it and bounce it off the bottom. It is crazy how many times I've fished cover and not got a bite skipping a chatterbait or reeling a chatterbait straight in like a normal chatterbait, and then I throw the exact same bait in the same cover, but I flip it and use it like a jig, and I get absolutely just donk and just get rocked by it. So that's, you know.
Yep, kind of that yo-yo presentation.
Yep.
Just giving them that little bit different offering. You know,
different offering, different speed. Yeah, it's totally. And so here's something too. I was listening to Cliff Crochet, Cajun Baby, on Mike Iaconelli's podcast, and I don't really have a very good Cliff Crochet impersonation, but I need to like work on it because he's so dope and so funny. And he said, you know, I'm going out on the lake underwater with that super like Cajun accent or whatever, and he was like saying how I'm gonna, you know, misremember exactly how he said it, but basically he said something along the lines of like, I'll be throwing the spinner bait and it'll work. And then I think to myself, oh, if the spinner bait works, then I should throw the chatterbait. And then I waste half the day trying to force feed him the chatterbait when the spinner bait was working perfectly. And I think we all do that. And I think that's a great way to lose a bass tournament. Oh, dude, the buzz bait's working, so then I should definitely try and throw a buzz toad as well. Because
and why would you change it?
Yeah. Like some.
Why?
Well, I just think sometimes I think you do it because you think on a scale, let's say on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm making this up as I go right now. Okay. On a scale of 1 to 10, the fish are eating the buzzbait a 7. You know, 10 is the highest. 1 is they're not eating at all. 10 is they're just annihilating it. Mm-hmm. Let's say they're eating the buzzbait a 7, and there's something in each of our like little fisherman-y brain where it's like you're trying to put the pieces together, and you're like, okay, the buzzbait is working, but this might work even better.
I'm going to be honest with you. If it's working, I would just stick with it.
Oh, absolutely. And that's like that old adage, you don't leave fish to find fish. You know, maybe they're not the perfect fish, but stick with them because you never know when a big one might be in there.
Daddy might be there.
Yeah. So like I'll be throwing a buzzbait and then I'm like, well, this is working, but you know what might work even better is like whatever, I don't know, a whopper plopper or and then it's like how much time, like Cliff Crochet was saying, how much time did I waste trying to force feed them something when the original something was working just great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. All right. Two more how to lose a bass tournament according to the Bass Tournament Losing Champions.
Pro tips here, guys.
Tackle and tacos. You need to learn how to lose a bass tournament? Call us 1-800 we suck at fishing.
Oh my god.
We'll be there. Anyway, if you're doing bad, and here's what we'll do. We'll start a new thing where we will show up to your bass tournament and do so poorly that no matter how you fish, you won't come in last.
Oh, that's solid. I like that.
Wow.
It's like an,
I like that.
it's like an,
I'd
it's
be,
like
I'd
a,
be good at that one.
it's like an ego boost program.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't get last, and these guys have a podcast,
And they're
like,
really fun.
and they did worse than us, so we must be doing pretty good. You know, like we can really make you feel gooder about yourself.
Gooder. So much thank.
So much thank. All right, last two. If you want to lose a bass tournament, number 2 is Lola or Nate. Nate, do you have these things written down, all this stuff?
I think I got them. The next number 2.
Yeah, give us number 2.
Envision yourself losing or struggling. And I got a little side note on that one.
Give it to us.
Okay.
Just a little side note is the mental game.
Yep.
So envision yourself losing or struggling before you even make the first cast, which I feel like I've been guilty of that a few times.
Dude.
And Jordan, I know you have. So.
Hey. That is
was
not
so
nice,
fast.
but you're absolutely
So
correct.
honest.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah.
Yep, he got you.
You know what's funny
Yeah,
though
but no.
about me when it comes to like the negative thing is like, and I'm not making this up. I don't care if, I just said Pat because we were talking about those jigs. But like he's like a local, but he's on the elites. I don't care if Pat Schlapper showed up at like a Bass Attack event. I legitimately, I don't care if Mike Iaconelli showed up or Jacob Wheeler or big famous. That doesn't intimidate me at all. Like legitimately, I don't care because I do believe that regardless of who's there or who's fishing, when you're supposed to win a tournament, you win a tournament. What I get more intimidated is like, I always doubt myself and my ability to put the pieces together fast enough. And so I'll get in my head sometimes on some like, I don't actually sit there and like envision like, dude, it's going to feel so good when I come to the tournament with an empty bag. You know, like I don't really like see it like that, but I do get in my own head like with doubts or like a couple weeks ago, we talked about this before, but me and Vinny, our middle boy, we pre-fished for a tournament and absolutely smashed them. And I knew beyond the shadow of a doubt that pattern wasn't going to hold up the day of the tournament, and it didn't. And who knows? Maybe if I wasn't thinking so negatively, maybe I would have fished differently.
That's true.
Yeah.
What do you got, Nate?
So, it kind of made me think about that. You know, just the tournament that I fished on Sunday. We're fishing. Like I said, made it to the first spot, caught a couple fish, but no keepers. Went to the second spot, didn't get a bite, and it's a big area, so fished a long time. Didn't get a bite. And kind of towards the end of that area, my father-in-law was like, "Oh boy, I'm getting a little discouraged." And it was only about 9:30.
We've been fishing for 30 minutes, dude.
My snacks would have been gone by then.
That's how Vinny gets too. Vinny's like, "Can I use something else?"
9:30.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was only about 9:30, and then ran to the third spot, and that's where I caught. I probably caught 10 or 12 fish at that third spot. But they were all cookie cutter 10 to 12 inch, fish.
It was just the same fish over and over again.
I'm back.
Legit, I mean, the only difference was like here would be a smallmouth, and then it would be largemouth. Then here would be a smallmouth. So that was the only difference. So they could have just been, running in circles, chasing the little worm I'm throwing out there or something. But yeah. So after that third spot, we're getting ready to run to the fourth spot, and I'm like, man, maybe he's right. This is a little discouraging. And then pulled up on the fourth spot. We fished, and within 5 minutes on that spot, I caught the first keeper of the day. So
yeah, that's a good feeling.
Trying to stay in that mental game, trying to stay positive. Stay focused, and you don't have to necessarily envision yourself winning every single tournament, but just think of what you're doing, have the confidence, what you're doing is the right thing. Yeah. And if it's not, you'll stumble across it throughout the day.
You've got plenty of time. Experienced enough to change it.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I think it's hard when the person you're fishing with starts to feel discouraged. And I'm not just saying your father-in-law, but like if Jordan's like, oh, nothing's working, and blah, then I'm like, oh, it's okay, everything's all right. And then I get nervous, like, well, if he doesn't feel like this is going to go well, then it's totally contagious. Yeah. That's hard.
Yeah, it really is. And I think, so our tagline here at Tackle and Tacos is positivity is worth the effort. And I don't think we've ever really broke that down and explained it to people. It is so freaking easy to be negative.
Yeah.
It's so natural and easy to be pessimistic. And when we choose to put a little more oomph behind it and be positive, it's always worth that extra effort, because like your brain changes and your behavior changes, your posture changes, your outlook changes. And I think that is 1,000,000% a thing for bass fishing.
Yeah.
Yes. I completely agree.
We asked Polinick when he was on our podcast, what's the difference between a pro and a weekend angler? And he so quickly,
he knew.
Yeah. What did he say?
It's between the ears.
He said it's between the ears. Right away.
Yeah.
Right away. He didn't say anything about how to cast. He didn't say anything about your equipment or what size motor or what size boat or how many sponsors you have. He said it's all between your ears. It's all between your ears. And he said, if you lose a fish, how long do you let that lost fish spin you out? If you don't figure out a pattern right away, how long does it take you to change plans and go with a different pattern? If you, whatever. And it's just everything, man. If you want to lose a bass tournament, and really, this is a good one, really lose it badly, see yourself sucking during that tournament, and you probably will.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so funny. I ran into at the tournament, I ran into a guy that I actually used to work with at Gander. I think it was before you started, Jordan. But shout out Tony DeVolder. Yeah, for real. So this guy, he's so cool. He worked in the fishing department. Just a real low key, humble dude. And I was just kind of getting into that tournament scene. Like, my father-in-law took me to a couple tournaments and we fished out of his, 15-foot bass boat and whatever. And he was like, oh, if you like bass fishing, let me take you out. So he took me out one day. He had a Triton at the time. I think it either had a 200 or 225.
Triton, shout out.
First time I've ever been in like a Sizely bass boat, ever gone fast in a boat before in my life. And I just remember the gigantic smile on my face. Like I've told him and his wife this story a couple times the last few tournaments that I've seen him at. But he showed up at the tournament to fish and was getting ready to go, and he was one of the last boats to dump in, put his boat in the water, and it wouldn't start. His cranking battery had completely crapped out on him. So he'd get it started and it would cut off because it was complete. It was just so drained. It was shot. So he ended up putting it back on the trailer and going home. But we've been talking pretty much all day today. And he said, like, staying focused and realizing the mental aspect of tournament fishing, whether you're, like at the highest level or just getting started, like the sooner you can realize the mental portion of this game, the better off you'll be. And that's what he was saying to me. He's like, now that you got a win under your belt with that one earlier this year, he's like, you kind of realize what it takes to win, like what, the changes you made or how you adjusted to what was going on throughout the day or, whatever. You can implement that in later tournaments because now you have that experience, what you're looking for.
Yeah.
And it's just gonna, carry on and carry on. So
that's encouraging.
Like I said, we've been talking about that today. Yeah. So it's, he said it's all about the mental game. So
yeah, there's a really cool story. Give me 2 minutes and I'm going to mess up the facts of it. But way back in the day, there was a thing called the Miracle Mile, which is where, I can't remember if this is the 40s, 50s, 1940s, 1950s. This is forever ago. But all these different runners from different countries were trying to break the Miracle Mile, which meant a human being running a mile in 4 minutes flat. And people tried and nobody could do it. And scientists, experts, coaches, runners, they all agreed that a Miracle Mile, a 4 minute mile, wasn't possible. Like they just agreed, like this is not a thing that can be done by a human being. Then, lo and behold, somebody did it. Then word got around that person did it, and that year something like 10 other people ran a Miracle Mile. It was like once their eyes were open to the fact that, oh, this is actually possible, well then let's get after it. And if we could just keep that mindset while we're fishing tournaments, even when things don't go well, like, dude, you know, maybe this isn't going exactly how I wanted, but this is possible, then all of a sudden we can turn it on and things can go well, things can go right. But you want to lose a tournament before it ever even starts. You know what I'm saying? Look at it negative or envision yourself struggling before you even make that first cast.
Yeah. I mean, you can take that and just use it in, you know, everyday life situations.
No doubt.
Like, man, that's serious.
Yeah, I mean, basically, as soon as we get done recording here tonight, I'm going to try and kiss Lola right on the mouth. And there's a big part of me that's like, she's not going to kiss you back. But I also believe that some people do kiss each other. So, like, there's a chance this could. All right, number one way to lose a bass tournament, and then we'll save all of our taco talk for next time because we're an hour plus into this thing.
But just know we love tacos.
Know that we love tacos more than
Send
we love
us
our
taco
children.
recipes and pictures.
Yeah,
we
why
want
is
'em.
nobody sending us taco recipes? Why
y'all
is
care?
nobody
Come
sending
on.
us taco pictures from your favorite restaurant? We
Even
would
if it's
love
Taco
to-
Juan's.
Yeah, even if it's Taco John's, Taco Bell. Like, I mean, that's not really tacos, but it is.
But it is.
Yeah, like send us some pictures. Like send it to us on social media. Tag us. Use hashtag tackling tacos. I don't know, something. We want to celebrate with you the taco goodness that the Lord has placed in your life.
Thank you, Jesus.
Thank you, Lord. Hallelujah.
Thank you, sweet baby Jesus.
Sweet baby Jesus.
Yes, sir. What does he say in Talladega Nights? He's like, I see you in your crib watching your Baby Einstein developmental DVDs. Anyway, he had a beard.
5 pound, 8 ounce.
So number one way, and I mean this to the core of me, both on a surfacey, like cheesy level and on a deeper level, the number one way to lose a bass tournament is to take things way too seriously.
Don't have fun.
Don't have any fun.
Also, why am I the only one that had to read one all dramatically?
Yeah.
That was
Read it all seriously.
Because it was really good.
It was really good.
Because it just we knew it was going to be good.
You knew I
And
had it in me.
was.
All right.
Yeah.
So anyway, don't have fun.
I mean, for real though, like the number one way, I think, because it's sort of like, honestly, I've helped coach our boys' football teams, and we're always like telling the players, like, hey boys, number one thing we're doing here is having fun. And number two is learning, and our number three focus is, we're going to try and win. Because winning is also really fun.
Yeah.
But like, if we're not having fun on the water, what are we doing? Like, if we're taking it too seriously, what are we doing? And then on the little bit deeper level, if we're not having any fun and we're taking it too seriously, it's sort of like a butthole.
Oh gosh, again?
It's all clenched up. It's not operating properly. It's not thinking clearly. Like, you know, if you skip a jig and get a backlash, and then you get bit off by a northern pike, and then your trolling motor isn't working the way it's supposed to, or you accidentally throw a spinnerbait up in a tree, you have a fish jump and spit the lure, whatever. It's so easy to just get and just clinch up. And I promise you, your brain is not functioning the way that it should be when that is happening. You want to lose a bass tournament, take it way too serious. And I promise you, you will lose it. And that's not to say that you can't be serious. And it's not to say that you can't be competitive. And it's not to say that you can't go out on the dock in the morning and like before you launch and be like, dude, I'm going to kill all these dudes. I'm going to catch so many fish today. I'm going to put more fish in my boat than any of these guys are. I'm going to fish so clean. There's nothing wrong with that. What I'm talking about is going out there and just being like flexed up and angry and not having fun. Because if we're not having fun fishing, what the crap are we doing?
Well, it's like Mark and Easton. Like they were like, we just need to fun fish more.
Yeah.
And they've been doing it. And I think that's really great.
And they've also been fishing really well in their
really,
tournaments.
really well.
Probably because they're balancing out
Exactly.
the fun of the fishing with tournament fishing, and that's really a sweet spot. That's why I love seeing videos of like Mike Iaconelli going out with his son Vegas fishing, because he's not just like tournaments only, food on the table, making money. You know, it's fun. Fishing is fun. Whether that's in your local pond going after bluegies with a little ultralight, or skipping a 5/8 ounce jig under a dock, ready for it to load up and just set back and drive a hook into a 4.5 pound small jaw. Like,
sounds nice.
It does. It needs to be fun. And here's another really quick side note for how to lose a bass tournament before it ever starts. I just thought of this as I said, like, you're going out in the dock and you're thinking to yourself, I'm going to kill these dudes. Another really, really great way to lose a tournament before it ever starts is to super engage in dock talk before you launch.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's a great way to lose a tournament, is just talk to everybody. Oh, my buddy heard that he caught a 4.5 pounder on a wacky rig, and
he turned into a 95-year-old.
Well, that's how it feels, dude. Like, when I talk to dudes at the dock, like, I'm so down to socialize and be human and be buddies. Like, I want to be nice to everybody. But when we start talking like dock talk about so-and-so caught this, and this guy had a great pre-fishing, and this guy caught a whatever, and this one, I don't want to hear that nonsense. I don't want you to tell me that you're catching them on a spinnerbait, and I don't want to hear some dude say like, oh, you know what really works here is a crappie jig. And he's just trying to like trick you or play some mental game. Like, F all that. Like, all that.
If you ain't throwing the banjo minnow, you ain't gonna catch them.
If you're not spinning a helicopter lure, or the flying lure, or that one lure that was on TV for a while that had like lights in it,
whoa,
you ain't doing it right.
Oh, baby.
Yeah. If you're not injecting a bunch of stank in your tube, you will not catch a fish here. Period.
Okay.
Anyway, so those are our 7. Let me run through them really quick. Our 7 ways to lose a bass tournament. Number 7, don't worry about maintenance. Number 6, have good electronics but have no idea how to use them. Number 5, forget about map study. Number 4, fish to your weaknesses because you want to be a more versatile fisherman. The other side of that, number 3, only fish your strengths because they're comfy. Number 2, envision yourself losing. Number 1, the best way to lose a bass tournament is take things way too seriously. Nate, hit us up with our sponsors and our socials and our whatever. Then we'll let Lola hit us with the tagline, and we will be outski.
Yeah, so definitely thank you to all of our viewers and listeners sticking around for this one. We appreciate you. We appreciate the guys at Working Class for letting us be a part of this Working Class Bowhunter Podcast Network. Absolutely. That's that shout out.
That's that super shout out. You don't know if it's going to end.
Those guys are worth it.
Yeah, no, but for real though, thanks to those guys. Thanks to our viewers and listeners. We definitely appreciate it. Like we said, do us those small favors, leaving us those positive 5-star reviews on Apple and Spotify. Thank you to Kenai Coolers and Grizzly Coolers for kind of being the first ones to get on board with us and kind of believing in what we're doing here. So thank you to those guys.
We beat ours up camping this weekend, and they did great.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah. I've got that carry-all bag.
It's so sick.
I just pulled it out of my truck today, and I'm like, man, this thing is already getting dirty because I've been using it so much.
So good.
That's good.
Yeah, we've been throwing everything in it, adding ice and just going. Like it's awesome. But lastly, thanks to Giltech. That's the guy who's kind of he's had our back for a while, but now it's official, and we thank you for that. So keep making fantastic products for us to sling around and catch fish. So definitely be sure to follow us on YouTube, IG, Facebook, all that good stuff. We appreciate all the engagement. So thank you.
Perfect. All right, guys. Remember, positivity is worth the effort.
Peace.